I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I am no regular citizen. Nope. Do you understand what you witnessing? You cannot tell what the difference is. I want it all and I'm winning it. I do not care about opinions. Time to make a few decisions so I can take a position. I'ma go get it, I'm punching and kicking. I keep on moving, they out for me. Just do it and stop at our talking G. I'm not expressing no modesty. I can't see nobody stopping me. If there's a problem, I gotta solve it. Straight to the top, I can't see myself falling. I gotta grab it, there's no time for stalling. Number one stunner, don't have other options. Now I'm fired up. I'm sorry, brother, your time's up. I see the top and I climb up. I came from the ashes, I rise up. Rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up. Rise up. I want it now, I want it now, and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now, and I ain't never gon' back down. I gotta go for the gold. I need to switch up the mode. I'm gonna win on my own. I'm in a whole nother zone. I reached the pinnacle. I don't have time, this is critical. It's time to finish you. I don't care who I just did it to. I gotta go for the gold. I need to switch up the mode. I'm gonna win on my own. I'm in a whole nother zone. I reached the pinnacle. I don't have time, this is critical. It's time to finish you. I don't care who I just did it to. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. I want it now and I ain't never gon' back down. Said I'm fired up. I'm sorry your time's up. I see the top and I climb up. Came from the ashes, I rise up. Rise up, rise up. I want it now, I gotta rise up.
With 4 rounds completed of the 2024 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, there's a lot to play for. 3 different winners in the first opening 3 rounds, and now we come to the last great Coliseum to see if we're going to have 4 different winners in the opening 4 rounds of the season, or if the veterans will be favored here in Bristol. Welcome along to tonight's coverage of the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series live on RaceSpotTV. I am not Evan Pasoko. I'm your host, Joshua Lee, joined alongside Terry Radford. And Terry, we were just joking before the broadcast. We don't normally get a Josh and Terry show, and tonight we get it at one of, in my personal opinion, the best NASCAR tracks and one of the best racetracks in the entire world. And we're not covered in dirt. We're covered in concrete. It's old school Bristol back in the spring.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's my home track, and to be able to call it not on dirt. The dirt was fun. It had its run. But let's just put some concrete on it. Let's have some fun. Andrew Freenage was actually second fastest in practice, right behind Liam Sheen. So be interesting to see. Can Freenage get it done? You take a look at our schedule here. It is 2 short tracks back-to-back with Bristol and Richmond before we divulge ourselves into 1.5 miles and then 2.66 miles at Dega, back to some short tracks. And hey, look at that. We'll be halfway through the season, theoretically, once we get to the May 13th All-Star race.
We do get an off week next week where the real life NASCAR Cup Series will be off at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. We'll go racing next, like you mentioned, Terry, at Richmond. But those points are right now pretty close along that cut line. Steve Soa just barely outside, Austin Coop barely inside, but that battle for the top 16 is not really a big talking point just yet. That big talking point is Agnell Phillip, Bradley Burke, and Minazzi Major with 3 race wins, 1 apiece. Liam Sheen leading the points in terms of just raw points. He's still yet to get to victory lane, but tonight at Bristol is a lot on the table for the 3 that have already gotten wins and for the drivers that are still trying to get their first wins of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of those places that you could see a surprise winner. You could see a Cody Harris sneak up in here. He's 22nd in points with only 51. Had some bad luck so far in the first 3 rounds. He's currently sitting provisionally 2nd in qualifying. It's about half the drivers have taken time around the last Great Coliseum. Could he get his 2nd win at this racetrack? You're taking a look at the 24 of Riley Grant Davis on the racing surface now. Can he jump up there? He goes to 13th, but that's not where we expect to see the 24 at Bristol. See what he can do on lap 2.
Trying to put a faster lap down as he sits now P14 as the times start to slowly work their way in here from virtual Bristol, and about 2 minutes remaining here in qualifying. Currently top of the board is Agnell Phillip with wins so far this season. That is Michael Laraya in the number 44, who has taken his 2 laps. He sits P5 currently on the leaderboard. Nobody else, the likes of Liam Sheen, Maverick Davis, Chris Treppa, Steve Soa, Mike Maddox, and Brett Larson have all yet to take times, and none of them, surprisingly, are currently on the racetrack. Everybody, or as I say that, Maverick Davis looks like he might come out for a lap. They do get more time here, Terry, than they get at any other racetrack, as we now look at Dylan Coyle, who steps his way onto the track and has some connection issues as he works his way through 3 and 4, but they have until really the last minute to get those times in, mainly because it only takes the better half of about 14 seconds to work your way around this racetrack.
Yeah, and I think Coyle's just running some additional laps around the racetrack, trying to figure it out. You see Maverick Davis hitting the board, working. He put that 15 machine. He'll go to his first lap. The outside will be the place to go here. Almost all race long to keep the momentum up on that outside lane. It'll be difficult. I think it'll be difficult to pass as Davis is going to jump on the board 13th. So not the fastest, but he's also only 2/10 off of our current pole sitter. So times here are almost on top of one another.
Very, very close with Agnell Phillip running a 14.1. There goes Maverick Davis running a 14.3 to hop himself into the top 10. Dylan Coyle, our last driver to take a time, has ran a 14.699 as he sits himself in 17th on the speed charts. That's about it for the drivers that have elected to take times here in qualifying. So, Terry, I'll put your money where your mouth is. There's a lot of different good picks, especially with the very close times we're seeing right now. But who's walking away with that victory? Who gets the Terry stamp of approval?
Cody Harris. Cody Harris is going to win this race. Very fast in qualifying, very fast in practice. He's a race winner here at Bristol. Got his first win. I'm taking Cody Harris in that 28 Ohio State Buckeye to go to victory lane at the end of this one. You can take that one to the bank.
Number 28, A51 Pro Chevy, gonna look for a win tonight, but it is time to take a look at your starting grid as we get ready to go racing tonight from the virtual Bristol. And on the pole, no surprise here, Agnell Phillip in the number 94 walks away with that pole position. Cody Harris will start to his outside in P2. Andrew Freenards, one of the fastest drivers in practice, starts 3rd. Bradley Burke, last week's winner from Las Vegas, on the outside of row 2. Michael Laraya, Eric Papineau gonna round out the top 3 rows.
Yeah, your top 6 was pretty set there. Cam Patterson back there in 7th. Brandon Gass in 8th. Jaron Winemaster and Maverick Davis running that your top 10, with Thomas George, one of your winners earlier this season, and Joseph Tice running that your top 12.
Back from there, Sam Nieto will start P13, Minazzi Major P14, Austin Coop and Grant Davis will round out your top 16. Dylan Coyle being the last driver to put down a time in qualifying. Liam Sheen, the first driver not to, he'll start P18.
Yeah, your final four starters of this afternoon: Chris Treppa, Brett Larson, Steve Sawa, and Mike Maddox is your 22 that have come out here this afternoon.
And tonight we'll go racing for 250 laps around the last great Coliseum. All the normal expectants you see from real sim racing competition: fixed setup, no fast repairs, 4 tire sets will be for each driver in the pit lane, and then 100% fuel capacity inside of each of these machines, as well as we get ready to go racing tonight. And the weather here in Bristol, it's not raining like a lot of the races that we've seen on the service after week 13, but it is a nice 74 degrees, 88 degrees on the track temp, mostly cloudy skies as we go racing in the about late afternoon sim time on March the 17th.
That's fun. I will tell you that. I've enjoyed the most recent update for the weather to be coming in, and I've got some speed in those GT3s, so who knows? Might want to watch out for me at the any of the special endurance events this year.
And of course, you can catch all those special endurance events in the iRacing special events calendar right here on RaceSpotTV as we take the ceremonial 2 pace laps around the Bristol Motor Speedway. With this track being under 1 mile in length, we get just an extra time around the pace car. But going racing tonight for round number 4 of the campaign for the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. That driver on the front row, Agnel Phillip, has already gotten a win this season. Cody Harris, to his outside, is still yet to walk away with a victory. Who is going to be able to tame the last great Coliseum as we go racing for the first time in a handful of years on the concrete in the spring at Bristol? That iRacing official pace car will work its way into the safety of the pit lane. And as Agnel Phillip sees Barney the Flagman, we say, let's go green from Bristol. Quick work made at the front already. We've got a wreck in the back. That is Chris Treppa, Mike Maddox in the wall. I think Austin Coop's in this one as well. That 50 spinning down the track.
Yeah, and Coop actually on the initial start of this race pulled onto the apron, didn't want no part of this at all, and he involves himself in the first wreck of the afternoon right off the exit of turn 4.
It was just those last 4 cars. Steve Soa involved, Chris Treppa, I think Dylan Coyle had gotten a piece of that one as well. Let's take a look at that replay and just trying to diagnose here what happened as we take a look at it.
Just a checkup there. Yeah, just a small checkup, and that's all it takes here. Oh, and nowhere for Coop to go. He just saw the 50 of Treppa come down the racetrack, and you have no room to negotiate here in this in this tiny little bull ring we got. But unfortunately for him, around he goes.
Not much really anybody in the line of path of that incident could do. We'll take one more look at it high above here at Bristol, and it was a checkup. I'm wondering if Steve Soa maybe had a little bit more grip on the exit of the corner, because it looked like that number 75 machine just kind of shifted forward and got a really big head of steam going through the middle of 3 and 4, and unfortunately nowhere for him to go. And I think more importantly, taking a look at the race control, nobody ended up getting a claim for that yellow flag. So we actually, Terry, are going to have a new session going up from race control. So we're going to be restarting this one. I think this is unprecedented territory for the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series.
Well, I mean, there's rain in the system, but I do not believe that the setup was absolutely correct. So we'll red flag this one. You know what? Do we have the ability to yank drivers up?
I think we have been given the ability to do that. So, you know, Terry, I'll give you first pick of who you want to pull up here into the call, because we are going to have a little bit of time to stall as the new session goes up.
Let's pull my prediction. Let's pull Cody Harris up.
We'll grab the own driver, the number 28 A51 Pro Chevrolet, if I have the ability to drag people, and I don't think I do.
I think we should definitely ask Lord Emperor Pasoko to give us the correct rolls here to let us yank people. Let's see. Give us rolls or give us death.
Well, we're going to try and get some drivers up here and be able to work them in. We do have, now that we have moved our way over to Discord here for being able to see things, or being able to use commentary in Discord rather than TeamSpeak. We do have a lot more drivers with us, and we have Austin Coop with us up here in the booth now. Of course, he has done some commentary for us here in the Real Sim Racing Cup Series, so we are able to talk to him. And Austin, not that great of a start for you, and honestly, probably luckily for you, we're going to be red flagging and restarting this one.
Yeah, right now I'm on the baseline setup, so it doesn't even technically pass inspection. So when I was in practice, I'm like, "What's going on?" It kept hitting the bottom of the track, and I kept spinning out in practice, and I couldn't understand why. And now I know, so I literally could not compete out there, and I'm surprised I even beat some people out there in qualifying. So yeah, it definitely need to re-rack them for sure.
Is it a I was going to say maybe a talent issue, but you're pretty talented.
That way, Terry. I'm not gonna lie. I was having thoughts, man. I was like, "What is wrong with me?" Like, I was telling my teammates, they're like, "Yeah, we don't notice that problem because they're both in different manufacturer cars." And I'm like, "What am I doing wrong?" And it wasn't my fault. And I'm really glad it's not, because I was a bit worried there for a bit.
That typically happens with me. It's normally a talent problem, not a setup issue. But going into the next session, obviously we'll restack this one again. We'll be a little behind schedule thanks to Evan. Hashtag blame Evan. But mindset going in, and I saw you pull down on the apron. Are you going to do the same mentality? Go to the back, kind of ride around a little bit, get some feel in the track?
No, the only reason I did that was to not be a hindrance to those guys. I knew at the right before we went green that I did not have the right setup, and so I just pulled aside so I wouldn't be a hindrance of those guys who wanted some extra practice time. And then I got caught up in an accident anyways, which was kind of hilarious. But yeah, I did not want to even practice anymore on a bad setup.
That's always good insight to have. What's your goals in this race? Do you think potentially you'll have the opportunity to compete in the top 5? Maybe even win one?
I do think that, I don't even know what the setup is. I'm going to be cold out there. It's like we're going to have a backup car. So initially, I'll have a better starting spot than being in the back. But I do expect to be in the top 5. I think you guys watched me last year at Bristol in the 500. And this is one of my favorite tracks. I do usually do really well here, which is why it was so frustrating for the last 40 or so minutes. So, but yeah, I think I can definitely compete for the top 5, if not get a top 3 or a win.
We don't know where Josh went. I think he might have left us behind.
Oh, I'm still here.
Not the initiative that George Bush and his wife put into the No Child Left Behind. I don't know if you necessarily know that Josh is statued like a child.
Not wrong.
Yeah, I kind of know, I guess.
I think my 4-month-old might be taller than him.
I'm going to try and I don't know if you guys have ever interviewed someone while they're driving, but I'm going to give it a shot here.
I mean, always full sends. Are you in the old session or the new session?
I didn't know there's a new session yet. We're still out here.
Oh, see, we'll talk
no one's made any official messages quite yet, but here we are.
Talk to a driver driving in the driving thing. People are backing out, so.
Yeah, this is the baseline set here, and so let me actually try and run this thing here for you. Let me show you what happens when I go into 3 here. The front end loses. I go up the track, and then I don't have anything, and then it's actually tight now. It's super loose in practice. So if I full throttled up the corner, oh, there you go. I almost spin out. So I'm gonna go back down pit road before I messed any of these guys up.
Well, it doesn't count, so I'll
hit the tire barriers. I'll be back in this here.
I mean, the fact that it doesn't count should make you a little bit less cautious here. So it's like you've never been wrecked before.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sometimes that's fun to do, right?
I kind of wish
always
the
looks
barrels
fun.
at least had like a little bit of. They're just like solid concrete. They don't do
I
like
know,
the
there's
explosion.
like, it yanked the steering wheel out of my hand a little bit. But
You're a steering wheel.
I overheard that you guys couldn't bring people up in here, so I decided to put myself in here so you guys could have some entertainment.
Hey, you people do listen to us.
That's valid. It's appreciated.
It's pretty sad though. I mean, how do you multitask? I don't think I could listen to me and race.
It's challenging.
I understand.
Especially when if you're just watching the stream, we're what, like 5-10 seconds removed from what's actually happening?
Yeah, about 10, I think, at least on my end.
All right,
We're
I have the
calling
ability
even-
to drag people now. This just in. It has been given to me now, so.
Well, I'm going to see myself out, talk with my team, work on some strategy, and I'll see you guys hopefully when you guys interview me during a caution, maybe, not during green.
We'll talk to you during green. It'll be funner.
All right. See ya.
See you, sir.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have said that, because now we're definitely going to pull him in under green.
Yeah. 10 laps in, we'll just start yanking people.
Well, what we're taking a
think they're
look
all
at
leaving.
now is, we're taking a look at the old session. A new session from Race Control will be going up, and I mean, as you can see, just chaos is starting to ensue as everybody works their way out of that session. But now we do have the ability to talk to your pick, Cody Harris, as we move him up into the call. And there, you're standing by with your pick for tonight's race win and known Ohio State fan, Cody Harris.
All right, brother. I picked you to win. I saw you smiling when you heard me say it. You're looking for 2 wins here at Bristol tonight. Can you win this race and prove me right once again in RSR competition?
I'd like to think so. I feel pretty good on overall pace. It was a little bit of managing like tire temps and whatnot. Not so much wear here, but I feel pretty good. It's just very hard to pass, as I found out in the practice session there. But we'll see. It's a long race, and hopefully can end up in victory lane.
Yeah, so I have predicted that we would have a caution with a certain amount of laps to go. I predicted we would go caution free from a certain amount of laps to go. Now I'm trying to see if I can predict the winner of the race before we ever turn a green flag lap. I think you're it. Actually, I don't think I know you're the winner tonight.
I hope so. If I can, I've had a rough season so far. It seems like if there's a wreck, it's near my car. So hopefully we can turn that around tonight.
Plus, and I didn't even realize this when I made the pick, but Josh, do you see the shirt that he's wearing?
I can see a little bit of it. I know exactly what you're about to say, Terry.
Like, you know, it says Coke on it. And did you know, Cody Harris, that Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is the official fan refreshment of NASCAR? It has all the great taste of a regular Coke, but with zero sugar and 0 calories.
Yes.
It's the best Coke ever.
It does, in fact, beg the question, is it the best Coke ever?
I think it might be.
See, that's why he's going to win. I didn't even realize he was wearing a Coke shirt, but he's a winner already to me. Can we just, frock the trophy to him and go home?
I wish we could. That would be nice.
What are you drinking right now?
Let's see. I was at Wendy's earlier, and it's the Minute Maid Limeade, I think, is what I got out of the Coke Freestyle.
Those darned. They never clean those things, right? Like the inside of them have a lot of mold and stuff in them.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You're probably drinking mold right now. Yeah, nobody ever cleans the freestyle drinks. There's just so many flavors that build up on those. It's like Baskin Robbins. You get 31 different flavors out of every drink.
Yeah, for sure.
How old are you by chance?
Take a guess.
31.
Not quite. My car number, 28.
Really? Damn, how am I older than you?
What a coincidence.
Yeah, that's good. So next year you're going to be 29? She's just going to keep going up with age.
I was born on the 28th of October, so I think I'll stick with the 28.
Man, my daughter was born on the 16th of October. So good. That's also a good reason to pick him. He's born in my daughter's birth month. So even better.
For sure. The October birthday's way to go.
Josh also said that he doesn't think you're going to win the race. He said because you're an Ohio State fan, it automatically gives you 10 mile an hour slower than the field.
Let's
I don't
not
know
let's
about
not
that.
lie, especially since I have no horse in the college fight. we're just creating drama for no reason here, Terry.
I mean, I haven't been able to stir nothing up in a long time. People monitor my ex now. If we stir the fight up here, I mean, we technically can just pick on Evan the whole show because Evan's not here. So, Cody, any bad words towards Evan Pasoko?
I don't think I've got any. His basketball team is pretty bad, though. I will say that.
Boom, confetti.
I think they were 3 and I don't know. They won 3 games in the big. We weren't much better, but we got it turned around at the end. So
Pulling the old Bonnie Tyler, just turning it around.
Can any of you say you've been to a basketball game with Evan though?
I've not been.
No, because we don't work with him. Yeah, we don't work with
I've
him.
been to a San Antonio Spurs game, and I'll be honest, I forget who they played, but I've also been to an Indiana Pacers and Los Angeles Lakers game as well.
Did they give you your tickets free, thinking that you were 11 and under?
Yeah, they gave me the child seat. I sat in that like special child section that's like right by where the players come out.
Poor, it'd be like the old commercial where I think was it Magic Johnson or somebody that they threw the thing back at him. It was like, "Here, kid." Yeah, that's classic. Poor Josh. You're just gonna get picked on this whole race.
That's
well, Cody,
kind of what I
go
signed
win
up
this.
for.
Go win this race for me. Go make the Ohio State proud and take the 28 to victory lane.
I'll try to. Thanks for the support.
I'm here for you.
Proud. Yeah.
I'm here all day for you, Cody. That's Cody Harris, driver of the number 28 Ohio State Buckeye. And wait, what's the new sponsor? Shit, he's gone.
I dragged him out right as you asked that question.
Oh, what's it say? Drip something?
Oh, wrong camera. That's better.
It says,
I
I
can't
can't
tell.
see it. I can't see it. It says drip.
Drip Designs.
Oh, that's hot.
All right. Well,
That's-
new sponsor for Cody Harris, and might be the same speed. We have still yet to, technically speaking, turn a green flag lap. So if you're just now tuning into our coverage here on RaceSpotTV,
You ain't missed nothing.
You have missed absolutely nothing, as Terry just said. 9 minutes remaining here in this new warm-up because
Cody.
we have Cody Harris almost hitting the driver on the apron. But as I was saying, we had a race control technical difficulty. The wrong fix setup was added to each of our cars. So we had to reset the session after, I believe, a grand total of 4 green
Nothing.
flag laps, which are
Yes.
now null and void because we are in a brand new session.
I mean, we have done nothing. As you see the 20 at Brandon Gas going around in practice. I think this is a first for RSR. I don't think we've ever called practice.
I don't think we've never called practice, and I think we're in uncharted territory as well, seeing as we started a race, had to back out of said race, and now we are in a new race, now with 8 minutes remaining in practice. Do you want to drag anybody else up? Because I see Nieto, Grant Davis. I'll let you take your pick, Terry, of who else you wanna talk to before we get going here.
You know, we might not get the opportunity again to speak to Manazzi Major. Winner earlier on in this season at Atlanta. Manazzi down there for Rogue Wave Racing. He's got his Sprite colors back on the car. So maybe some good luck for him. The 82 is always quick. See if maybe getting Manazzi. What's up, Manazzi Major? It's the boys up here in the broadcast. What's going on, man?
Oh, I must be shy.
Earth to Manazzi Major.
Well, Terry, I feel
Well,
like I'm on a
darn.
NASCAR on Fox broadcast.
Yikes. I saw him mute. You might be on push to talk. Would that make me the Clint Boyer?
I feel like you were already the Clint Boyer.
That's a good point. We'll try this again before we boot him. Manazzi Majors, the boys up here. What's going on, man? Well, darn. We in the incident on Discord, we've lost Manazzi Major. Yeah, I really wanting to pick his brain about maybe getting a second win on the season. Won in Atlanta, coming here, getting an opportunity to win again with the Sprite colors back on that car. You know, we had the Hulu on it when he won Atlanta. It was good to see. What about Freenage? Is he in here?
No, move Manazzi back to I think where he was. I'll be honest, I forgot where he was.
Rogue Wave, you sent him to the wrong spot.
Oh, now he's in the right spot. He made it.
Huh.
We've got Papanow. I see. You want to talk to Agnell, another A51 Pro driver?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can grab old Agnell Phillip here in the 94.
Agnell Phillip, it's the boys up here on the broadcast. What's going on, man?
Not much. How about you, Terry?
No, just want to talk to the race winner early on there at the Daytona International Speedway. You were fast on the old setup, just the baseline, not the right one. Obviously, you come into this one speed-wise here, you're 12th on the board. What's the difference here? What's the difference in the setup that's going to present some challenges for you?
I don't know. The track definitely feels different. I think it's a bit on the tighter side, it seems like. But yeah, I honestly have no idea what to expect out of this whole change. There's a little bit more sun on the track, so we'll see. No idea.
Well, you're looking for win number 2 and championship number 3 coming into this season. So any heightened pressure, expectations for yourself at the end of this season that, they look at you as the veteran now in RSR competition. Does that kind of change your mentality of how you come to these races?
No, not really. I don't think. I think in a way, kind of having those championships takes the pressure off. In a lot of respects, you don't feel the pressure to kind of chip on your shoulder with having to prove yourself. Kind of feel pretty established, and I remember these races like they all really felt really high stress, high impact when I first started, and now I feel like I kind of got my place here, and I'm just trying to just use these as for what they are, which are times to race against some good folks, and try to just get better at this, and I love competition, man, so it's fun when we get those really good battles. I'm bummed that I missed what looked like a dogfight at the end of the race at Vegas because of the pit strategy and my damage and stuff last week, but that's what you come out to these races every Monday for the opportunity to do stuff like that.
Well, you talk about competition. Obviously, you're racing in Road to Pro or the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series, and you find yourself a lot up front. Setup-wise, you're always pretty competitive. What's your biggest challenge? You're going to go into Atlanta this week on March 14th, where Split 1's covered on iRacing and Maconi Entertainment, and Split 2 is on FTN. Do you add any pressure to yourself going into the truck racing, knowing that you run the Cup car, you've got a lot of experience in this side of the world, if you make it to Coke, you could be pretty competitive there?
I mean, I think it's similar to what I was saying about RSR. Obviously, the level of competition's kind of in a lot of respects a bit higher on the Road to Pro ladder, kind of top to bottom. But I think I've made it to round 2 in that system 3 years in a row. Last year got the contender, was a couple points out from making the Coke Series. So in a similar way, I don't feel like I'm trying to prove anything on that side of the. I mean, obviously, I wish I had a better contender season. I think if I am fortunate enough to get back to that stage, it'll feel a little bit more personal in a lot of respects. But I think for this round 1 here, we've had a little bit of bad luck these first 2 races. Haven't had still in an okay spot on points, but I'm gonna really try to focus on locking in and ripping off some good results here, because I really do think, there's been a lot of talk about various like points systems for these qualifying series. None of them are perfect, but at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top for the most part. So got to try and show that we still belong. But I think we'll be all right. We got a good piece for Atlanta, although it's a super speedway. Handling matters a good bit. Towards the end of the run, we had a good setup last year for that. So hoping to keep that going, and then get to the meat of the schedule, I think, with Texas and Darlington and Dover and Charlotte and some of those other tracks. I think Richmond is the other one, and hopefully we can just finish where we deserve to on speed, and we'll see how it goes.
That's all that matters. Well, I'll watch you every Monday at RSR from here into the remainder of the season, and I'm sure I'll catch you on the iRacing qualifying series schedule at some point as well. Good talking to you, Agnell. Best of luck in this race, and best of luck on Thursday.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Terry.
It's Agnell Phillip, driver of the number 94 for the A51 guys, and looking to potentially win the pole, Joshua Lee, for the second straight session.
Well, I will say that we are not going to have a qualifying session in this race session because we are ending practice right now, and we are going straight to the grid for 250 laps. I will say, on the actual setup that they were supposed to be running, the times are slower. We are currently running 14.589, the fastest time in practice from Bradley Burke. So we're running slower than the 14.1s that we saw from everybody else. Now,
they're lining up the same as they did in the previous session. So I believe Evan put them in qualifying, so the lineup never changed from one to the other.
So that is good news. So everybody is going to get the exact same shot that they would have had in the first session as well. So we'll rather quickly get back to the grid as everybody looks relatively good to go on the grid, and we'll take a look at that starting grid. That'll just be on the left-hand side of your screen with Agnell Phillip and Cody Harris taking up that front row once again. So Terry, as a driver, you say you're one of the drivers from the back. Steve Soa, Mike Maddox, Chris Treppa, Dylan Coyle all got caught up in that opening lap wreck. What do you do now? You get a second chance at life, and do you do anything different if you're Cody Harris, Andrew Frenage, who didn't get the lead right off the bat of that opening start?
I mean, I think with the setup being different is going to be weird for them. I mean, obviously they were plowing. What we heard from Austin Coop is the front end wanted to lose. It would smack the concrete, come around on you. If you're the drivers in the back, you've already got your mulligan out of the way, to put it in golf terms. So now rack them and stack them. We'll run it. I mean, we're only 34 minutes behind schedule, so we'll push this to about 11 o'clock.
And we'll still have that same 250 lap race. It is a fixed setup, and the correct fixed setup on these cars now. 0 fast repairs with 4 tire sets still in the pit lane, and 100% fuel capacity as well on each of these cars. So we're ready to go racing for the second time tonight, and hopefully the final initial drop of the green flag. And as Agnell Phillip and Cody Harris will lead them to the green flag, that iRacing official pace car will move its way into the safety of the pit lane, and 21 drivers will have another chance at the initial start. Agnell Phillip got a really good one on the initial green flag. Can he do it again as they are side by side through 3 and 4? The iRacing pace car will duck its way into the safety of the pit lane, and the start is back in control of the A51 Pro Chevy. We're back underway at Bristol for 250 laps, and Agnell Phillip gets a great start on the inside as he leads the field through 1 and 2 for the second time tonight.
Yeah, you saw a 2-wide action going on back there with Frenage and Burke. Last week's winner was having a good start there. Slides back to that 4th place position. Would not be surprised to see that 88 competing. He loves the short track side of things. Oh no, 44's around.
That's Michael Araya around. Does he catch anybody else? Jaron Winemaster looks like he ended up in the wall. But Michael Araya in the 44, I think it was a fairly self-contained spin from him. Asari comes out, and a C claim from Cam Patterson, who looks like he might have gotten into the 44.
Yeah, it was just cut and dry, just kind of hooked him there off the exit. Don't know if he got loose or just came down the track not realizing that he had the 44 of Michael Araya off the exit of the corner, and around he goes. No crazy damage to that 44 or to the 10. So be curious to see how that kind of changes. I mean, the way it used to be, just take a look at the replay, is aerodynamics meant nothing here, and just
Patterson
two drivers.
did come down.
Yeah. But
that's Jaron Winemaster. Oh my, that's Dylan Coyle with a hard hit to the back end of the number 5 of Joseph Tice, who also got in that one.
It's hard to slow these cars down. That's the most challenging part about short track racing with these machines, is you try to get them slowed down. You're on the brakes as hard as possible. You're trying to shift down from 5th gear or 4th gear, what some of these drivers are running. It just doesn't want to stop. The brakes, just that why they are a wider brake package, it just does not want to get down to 0.
Let's take one more look, a little bit closer with Chris Treppa. Did he get loose? It looked like he came down, but it almost seemed like an involuntary move down. We'll see if we got an onboard look from him, but that did not look normal, Terry. It looked like he got loose off the corner.
Yeah, it just looked like he snapped, and that's a common occurrence in these vehicles as well. You take a look at the onboard shot here. Yeah, he's loose. He caught the throttle a little bit prematurely, and the moment he caught the throttle, the back end like to chatter in these, and I'm sure one of the drivers are probably shaking their head. If you catch it before that car gets straight and mash the throttle, the back end kind of just it feels like it's vibrating because it just wants to pull the car all the way completely around. And it also does not help that you're basically beating the racetrack every single corner to try to get that thing to turn in.
So pretty much like the first race session that we had before it had to get red flagged and a new session be made for setup fixes, we get an early yellow flag. Will we see more as Agnell Phillip and Cody Harris and Andrew Farina are still the top 3 of your starting grid for this restart? This car back in, Geico restart zone for Phillip and Harris. They're back on the loud pedal, and we're back underway on lap number 7.
Yeah, and for Agnell Phillip there, he got an amazing start. Allowed Cody Harris to kind of pull in behind him, tuck that bottom lane. You see it now, Burke in the 19. He's got the Justin Allgaier scheme on it. Hopefully he has better luck than Allgaier did this weekend and doesn't have the lead with a couple to go and blow a tire. But Burke's got confidence now. I think that's going to be a huge key for anytime somebody wins one of these RSR races. It's coming to the next race and finding more speed than what you thought you had, because now the weight's off his shoulders. He's got to win in this series. He's going to the playoffs unless 19 drivers decide to go to victory lane and he finds himself out on points. But so far so good. Top 3, kind of right where he wants to be, and he's got Andrew Freenage, the goat behind him.
That win for Burke also is only top 5 so far of the season, and right now running inside of the top 3 and trying to battle Cody Harris for P2 as Agnell Phillip does what Agnell Phillip does best, and that is check out at the front of the field. But Farinage is showing some speed as well. He runs that top side, and that's what you mentioned before we went green for both of the races we had tonight, Terry, is that top lane is going to be the one to use, and Andrew Farinage uses it great and powers his way past the 19 and looks up to Ohio State's Cody Harris next.
Yeah, that outside lane here at Bristol has always been a key. I mean, back in the day, you didn't necessarily want to run it early 2000s, but once we got later 2013 on, you could really make it work if you could withstand the power that you have to bring with it. Like you hear him, he's cracking the throttle, little brake, and then he starts to work into the throttle before he goes full throttle here. He's going to do it to perfection, but he has to watch his tires. Cody Harris said it best. Here, it's not necessarily the tire life. It's the heat in the tires that's going to make a big difference. If he can just not drive in and overcharge the corners and just let the car float, He's going to be all right. He'll be up here contending as he goes to the bottom in turns 1 and 2.
Looks for the spot, can't get it, and Farinar's now more in a battle with Burke behind than he is anybody up front. Cam Patterson's slow on the racetrack, and we'll see if he had something happen to that number 10 in just a moment. But this battle up front really seems to be the closest one still on the racetrack. A little bit further back, Brandon Gass in the number 20 in a battle with Austin Coop in the 53. Coop, another one of those drivers that we talked to under that de facto red flag, but Terry, he was caught up in that incident that now he gets a second chance at life like we just mentioned with this new race.
Yeah, but he also pulled out. Like, he pulled out on the front stretch and let everybody go. He didn't want to be an anchor in this field, and now that the actual setup is in the car, you know, it changed a little bit. You heard Agnell talk about the track had a little bit more heat in it. You couldn't necessarily get the power down. The times have slowed down, I mean, by a lot. It is a pretty substantial mark from a 14.1 to a 14.7 or 4, what we ran in qualifying. So for Coop, manage the race around you. He ran the Bristol 500 for the NIS race. He had a decent run. Granted, I believe we were in the open side of things, but still it doesn't change the principle of how to get around Bristol. It'll never change. It's the same whether it's an open set or a fixed set. You have to drive this place almost identical. As you take a look at Thomas George here, another winner on the season. All 4 of our winners are in the top 5. Or 3. We're a week 4. Yeah, all 3 of our winners are here.
This is the battle for now 5th as Coop gets an inside move from Bradley Burke. Burke is not able to get too far to that inside, and Coop will hold that spot. A little bit further back, Jaron Winemaster is currently in the middle of a bit of a hornet's nest with Joseph Tice, Manazzi Major, as Joseph Tice pushes Major into the wall, stacks up the field behind. Everybody makes their way through, and we stay green. But that was a moment from Manazzi Major and Joseph Tice.
Yeah, that little checkup. We saw that there in the first de facto race that we had, the micro race of 10 laps, that a checkup here causes a big stack up. With there only being 21 cars in this field, it might change the caution count. We could potentially do this with this one caution flag if drivers fan out, they single file. You see it here, he just comes off the corner and not sure that he's there, and they get connected. But there's damage on the front bumper of that 5. That nose is kind of pushed in as a V shape, so is the rear. So he's seen some contact already in this race of just to check up and just getting plowed from the back and the front.
Somebody else who's seen some contact in this race is that number 44, Michael Araya. He was involved in the first and only yellow flag that we have had so far in this race, and he's fought his way back up through from the back of the field as he is currently P14, looking for 13 on Jaron Winemaster as they run their way now on to lap number 28. Agnell Phillips still leads the way out in front, and Manazzi Major not letting that slight bit of contact get him down as they catch up to the back bumper of the number 24 of Grant Davis as they look to get 10th away from him.
Yeah, and Grant Davis is kind of running in no man's land right there in the middle. He's not necessarily committed to the bottom, but he's not committed to the top either. He's kind of just a roadblock in the middle of the racetrack. It's also allowed Manazzi Major to catch back up there, and it's now also put Maverick Davis in this fight with him for that 12th place position, or 11th place position, sorry. You get that here. If somebody's slow up in front of you just by maybe even a 10th or so, it allows everybody else to close up a lot faster because it checks you up, doesn't let you mash the throttle off the exit of the corner, and it's allowed the 15 who's working a different lane than everybody else to get there, and it's also bringing that pack of 3 up to their back bumper as well, so it might be a 6-car fight for the top 10 here soon.
That's Chris Treppa leading this trio with Joseph Tyson, Jaron Winemaster side by side behind. This is the battle for P15 on the racetrack as they work their way through 3A and 4 and across the line once again. They'll single file themselves out as the tires start to heat up, tires start to wear on this concrete surface of Bristol, very much known for tires being a big deciding factor in what happens within the strategy. we don't have a lot of drivers remained on that bottom lane. Everybody has started to favor the top side as we work our way into the middle of this tire run, Terry. Not a lot of takers in pit lane that last time by. The only takers that I can see were the drivers that got damaged. Lariah, Davis, Major, as the 20 of Brandon Gass tried to put a sliding move on the 2 of Sam Nieto. Nieto is going to hold that spot for 7th.
It's almost like I've done this for a while. The outside lane has almost been the preferred groove. It's Gas almost got turned around by Brett Larson there in that 51. He kind of just overcooked the corner. But yeah, the outside's the way to go. That'll be the place that if anybody goes to the bottom on fresh tires, that's fine. But the moment the tires start to fall off, they've fallen off almost a full second. You'll start to run the outside to keep some heat in them, to also then keep the momentum up in these cars. You're also not necessarily on the brake as much. You kind of fade in the brake a little bit, roll out of it, let the car settle, and then get it wrapped around that outside. It's going to be interesting to watch if we get a green flag pit stop, though, because anybody coming from the outside lane or haven't ran the bottom in a while, it changes how you get around this place.
Battle for 5th we're currently looking at right now with Thomas George and Austin Coop. Eric Papineau, Mike Maddox are in a side-by-side battle for P18 on the racetrack. This is way further back in kind of no man's land right now as we start to put a couple of drivers one lap down. That is race leader Agnell Phillip, who is doing the lapping. He'll go to the inside of Dylan Coyle. That'll put through, actually, only 2 drivers one lap down. Now Dylan Coyle is 2 down. Steve Soa, the other driver who is not on the lead lap, he is 1 down as Agnell Phillip puts a couple of drivers off of the lead lap, and we now have a 3-way fight for P10 as Lariah is on a mission, Terry, after getting wrecked, bringing out a yellow flag, and now he's back up within the top 10 with damage on that number 44, notably.
Well, he's also on, I know this doesn't make a huge difference, 5-lap fresher tires than the drivers around him. And aerodynamics plays a factor in a lot of racetracks. This is not one of them. You could probably cut the back bumper of this thing off and it would become a little bit faster. You'll be able to carry more speed in the corners. I've personally took the iRacing side of it and smashed the front nose of my truck to pieces, was down like 250 horsepower, and was still able to crack a top 5 out of it. Because if you're fast in the corners, you're fast everywhere here. And it's working to his advantage that all of these drivers have migrated to the top. He's able to roll better than them. He's able to carry more speed than them as well.
I will selfishly take this opportunity because you did mention that it is a 5-lap difference in those tires. Well, I try to take advantage of it. So we have this fancy new stint graphic within our RaceSpotTV overlays here. I was trying to use it. I can't. I can read 47 on Agnell Phillip, and that is the amount of time he has spent on those tires. Is that? I think it says 4 laps for Michael Lariah, and
it should be 42 for Lariah, 48 now for Agnell Phillip. I mean, he took 4 tires on the lap that we had the caution, which should have been lap 7. So I think that's when it's telling you that it took tires on lap 7 here for him. But I mean, other than that, he's not doing too bad. He just fell outside of the top 10, went to 11th. Because Maverick Davis, he's on a mission as well. Davis is on the same pit sequence as him, but the damage, there's none on the 15. There is some on that 44, so speed starting to play a factor.
I will say, I don't think that was a fault of our stint graphic. I think that's just the fact that I'm trying to do it on ovals, and it's really meant for, I think, the IndyCar series or Formula One or something like that with tire compounds and, like, you know, dry to wet tires maybe. So we'll see if it gets a little bit better for ovals as we kind of go through the course of this race, because still a lot of time left. 200 laps remaining as Sam Nieto and to the inside of Thomas George, they're still battling out right at the edge of this top 5, and now this kind of powerhouse group has developed about 4.8 seconds back from Bradley Burke in 4th, and about another second and change back from the top 3 that has now gotten tight between Agnell Phillip, Cody Harris, and Andrew Freenach.
Yeah, all the battle starting to come in. I mean, Harris kind of closed in a rapid way. He almost got wrecked by Dylan Coyle, who looks to be officially retired from this session, and that puts 20 cars out here on the racetrack. Steven Sawa on pit lane, but almost wrecked into Cody Harris there, and it allowed Freenage to work his way up there to the back bumper of that 28 machine. I mean, looking at lap times, Agnell Phillips still faster, not by a lot. I mean, maybe 2 1,000ths or so of a second, but this top three, they've got a 5-second lead on this field. That's crazy to think. We're only 56 laps in, and they've already put 5 seconds on them.
Andrew Freenage now trying to keep the 28 of Cody Harris reeled in. Harris has kept Agnell Phillip pretty well reeled in as well, as that group that I mentioned that kind of has been packing its way up is still together, as it's Maverick Davis at the head of the field. Sam Nieto has started to pull away. This is the middle portion with Thomas George, Brett Larson, Brandon Gass, and Austin Coop. How about Brett Larson? We haven't talked a whole lot about him, and over the last 3 weeks of his first starts in the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Not seeing him before this season, running for the XPM Wolfpack team. Hasn't been a bad start to the season by any means. He hasn't had the luck I think he was looking for, Terry, but a solid run right now here at Bristol as he looks to the outside of Thomas George and really making himself known in that number 51 Chevy Camaro.
Yeah, he is, and Larson has not had the season thus far that he's looking for as he catches the wall off the exit of the corner, but still a big fan of anybody that puts the Martin Sports logo on their hood. So I will cheer for Brett Larson all day long as he clears that 7th place position. Coop kind of fell back a little bit. Here comes Lariah. He'll get gas checked up with the 6th of Thomas George. And correction, George has not won this year. Phillip, and then you got Burke. Is one of your winners here this season, and then Manatsu Major. So your 3 winners. I counted 4 because I'm an idiot.
We are in round number 4, so maybe we'll have 4 individual winners by the end of this race. But Agnell Phillip, who's leading right now and going to put Chris Treppa a lap down, is if he wins this race, it'll be the first multi-time winner of the season. And honestly, who else would you really guess to be our first multi-time winner of the season than Agnell Phillip?
Yeah, I've had a long weekend. Race rained out for Caraway on Saturday. Drove 5 hours. 5 hours there, 5 hours back. Went to sleep, kid all day, did a podcast, then came here. I can make a mistake if I want to make a mistake. Phillip pulls out for a half a second there over Harris and Freenage, just starting to step that gap out just a little bit. That lap traffic was not good to 2nd and 3rd as they've lapped all the way up to 12th, and they're very close to lapping Grant Davis in that 24. This is not looking good for the field if we stay green, Josh.
We have stayed green since that first yellow flag that came out some odd about 60 laps ago now, and we have stayed where we are since. Andrew Freenage to the inside of Cody Harris uses the 6 of Thomas George, who's now on 1 lap down. So is the 24 as a pick, as contact made between Harris and George. George with nowhere to go on that top side. We go 3 wide for a moment as Freenage looks for the spot, and he'll take P2.
And I don't mean any disrespect if Andrew Freenage hears this, but he has not been the same since his last championship. I mean, yes, he got a win when the next gen car was starting to be introduced a season or 2 ago in RSR competition, but it's going part-time. I believe this year he's going to go full-time again. The part-time schedule, he kind of was like the Jimmy Johnson of this series. You really didn't talk about him much other than super speedways, but now seeing him back up here riding and contending for wins is the Andrew Freenage of old. It's the one that we were accustomed to seeing winning races, finishing top 2, competing for the championship. And now Cody Harris, he looks to the inside here. He'll use a car as a pick, but he might mess around and get the race lead by them lapping Cam Patterson there in that 10.
Farinage now chasing down Agnell Phillip in the number 94. Battles further back. Maverick Davis is currently in a side-by-side battle with the two of Sam Nieto. That battle has gone back and forth a couple of times, but is not swapped away just yet. Chris Treppa has worked his way by Thomas George, and now George is in a side-by-side battle with Joseph Tice that we're taking a look at in the battle for 13th, as the battle for the lead is still on and now has gotten even closer. Inside of 0.3 of a second now as Farinage wants the race lead.
Farinage has been faster for the better part of 10 laps. He just had to negotiate lap traffic. But they're starting to lap faster cars. So, I mean, they got to the top 10 aspect of it. These cars get better and better and better. And Farinage is doing it by running the outside lane in 1 and 2. He's been going to the bottom in 3 and 4. We'll see if he changes that up. Yeah, he'll go to the outside lane. He'll look for the clean air. He'll pull in within 0.2 of a second this time. Lap times coming across the line was almost identical, a 16.097 to a 16.107.
Battle for the lead as Farinage looks to the inside. They put another lap behind us, and Phillip is getting defensive. He looks to the inside now, is trying to cover up that spot from Andrew Farinage, but right now it's all the 94 as Farinage tries to find a way by. With the 94 running that middle line, Terry, it's nowhere for Andrew Farinage to go unless he gets super aggressive, which I think both of these drivers know on lap 78 is not going to be the smartest option.
Nah, getting aggressive now does nothing for you. Find a groove that he's not in and make it work for you. The outside is rubbered up as Farinage sees there with that incredible run, and now peek to the low side. He'll go to the inside here, try to get the run off the corner. Not going to get it. The outside prevailed. Can he try it again and hold up that 20? Not going to work. He'll stay tucked in. Another lap led for Phillip. If Farinage gets impatient here, it's going to be in lap traffic. This is when you get frustrated. Traffic's everywhere. You've got nowhere to go. Hard to make the pass. But, oh, he almost stuck that thing in a hole it shouldn't have been stuck in.
Agnell Phillip has used this lap traffic to his advantage. He really got aggressive, covered off that spot from Andrew Farinage in the 88 right before they got to the back bumper of the 20 of Brandon Gass, and now will look his way back to the inside. Farinage goes back to the outside. They're side by side as the 20 has a little bit of speed, and Farinage trying to use him a little bit to stay to the outside of the 94. Side by side again for the race lead as Agnell Phillip dives it in.
Yeah, I think this lap's going to be led by Farinage, and it will. It'll be led by about a car length or so. We'll separate them. The outside lane is George Phillips going to come down pit lane. Not sure if this is scheduled or not. I think they're going to try to make this one a one stop of sorts if they can make it to lap 125. But now Farinage is going to have to try to get around and negotiate lap traffic and not let Cody Harris close his way in, as they've got 8th, 9th, and 10th all right here under a blanket as contact's made with the lap car.
Patterson also worked his way into the pit lane. Those two are now working their way still through the pit lane. Thomas George is in his box.
Oh boy, what a moment for Agnell Phillip as they went 3 wide there. He made contact with the 20 and had that thing all sorts of sideways. He saved it, but it cost him some time, about a half a second.
That is going to give the race lead now to Andrew Farinage by the better part of a half second. Now into the pit lane. Nobody else going to work their way into the pits just yet. I will say the only drivers that are now off cycle that tried to pit under the green flag or did successfully pit under the green flag as we look at a side-by-side battle between Bradley Burke and Maverick Davis. Steve Soa had to come into the pit lane, said those tires were just dead. He needed to get a new set of Goodyear rubber put on.
You don't pit off sequence at Bristol and make it work. I mean, under caution, yes. Pit off sequence, it might benefit you. You might be the benefactor like we saw here with Maverick Davis, but under the green flag condition, no. Especially when it's that big of a difference as, contact made there with Lariah in the 51 of Larson. They're fighting now harder than they've ever fought, because now they're fighting just in case a caution flag does wave to get back on the lead lap. They see the leaders in front of them. They see everybody there. You have to put yourself in a position as Coop will be right now the benefactor of the free pass if the caution flag does wave, unless they lap Sam Nieto.
We took a look at that replay of Cody Harris. I thought he had gotten into the back bumper of Michael Araya. He did not. That was a very good inside move, seeing the 44 move up the racetrack and taking it 3 wide as Agnel Phillip has dropped off significantly. 1.5 seconds now, the gap up to the race leader, Andrew Freenage, with Cody Harris now 4 tenths back, and Phillip might be losing another spot. When's the point that he comes into the pit lane, Terry? I know you're the fuel wizard. You're the pit wizard. Can they make it to halfway at 125, or are we going to see more cars coming in sooner rather than later?
With 100% fuel here, you should be able to make it to 125 without any problem at all. You honestly want to see if you could split this into one. If you can do 125 on both stints, that's phenomenal. If you pit now, you're pitting again. So a 2-stop strategy might not be the best one. If you are Maverick Davis with the 5-lap advantage, you're hoping that when they come off a pit lane, you stay out, they wreck, and get the lead and get that everybody's a lap down mark, because you're going to lose a lap here. And the reason that Agnel Phillips got some issues where he's fallen off speed-wise is that slide he had. That slide costed him a ton of tire wear. It heated those tires up. It's allowing everybody else to track him down. The only thing in his favor at the moment, 8.5 seconds back, is Maverick Davis. Like, he's got some time to cool those things down and just relax. Turn some laps, lose some time, pray for the caution. That's all you're doing at this moment.
So now Harris works his way into second. That race leader is still Andrew Freenage, and he's going to put a handful of drivers behind him as well. Some small battles a little bit further back, and the closest one kind of seems to be this battle that we're looking at here. The battle for 8th, which is on the top of your screen, or on the bottom of your screen, excuse me. Top of your screen is Andrew Freenage, your current race leader, but that's Brandon Gass in the number 20 with Michael Araya behind, and these two drivers 1 lap down each, but still racing for their own on-track positions as he goes to the inside, and they almost catch up to that lead. Well, I say lead group. It really is now the group that is just right behind Andrew Freenage.
Well, and since the inception of the quote-unquote stage break here, we can mark this down as history in RSR, because once they get to the halfway point at 125, a lot of people that's going to get points will be 1 lap down, because we've lapped all the way up to 5th, and he's getting very close to lapping Bradley Burke in 5th. So Freenage picking him up, putting him down here, is he's going to have to get around Tice here, who has been loose off the exit of the corner for multiple laps in a row. He'll add another lap to his, so make him 2 laps down. So all the way up to 12th is 2 laps off the pace.
Chris Treppa from 10th is going to be, or from 11th, excuse me, is going to be pitting in. There you see that number 50 try to dive to the bottom, and he will work his way into the pit lane, and no, he won't. Did he miss the pit lane there?
I think he went to the wrong pit lane. He was supposed to go to the back stretch. He went to the front stretch, and yep, there he goes.
So the track that is being used here, I believe, is the single pit road configuration. I'm not 1,000% sure. It's the dual?
It's the dual pit. So the way Bristol works is you have to enter on the back stretch to get yourself to the front stretch. I'm not sure he put this as the single pit. I think he put this as the dual. You can't enter. I do not believe you can enter it on just the front stretch to get to your box. You have to enter both sections.
So that does add another wrench in trying to get into the pit lane, and Chris Treppa did make a pretty substantial mistake. He's now 4 laps down as we've got more pitting calls as Tice is in. Nieto starts to look for the bottom of the racetrack. Joseph Tice is into the pit lane. Sam Nieto had to go back around, and he's got to go all the way back around. He crosses the start-finish line again and now dives for the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not sure he caught onto this. He missed it again.
Huh?
if he was trying to come down pit lane, it might be telling him wrong box. This might be an issue server-wise that's telling them that they cannot pit then. But he's going to lose a ton of time. He was already a lap down. Here comes the drivers behind him. And yeah, now he'll make it onto pit lane. Enter backstretch, work your way to the front stretch is the way they're doing it. And Jaron Winemaster almost missed it as well.
You know what else this is doing, Terry? This is flipping the top 10 that are going to get halfway bonus points on its head as Nieto goes to 9th. Thomas George is going to go to 10th, and he's on the racetrack at speed. He is going to pass that number 2. Here comes Chris Treppa to the bottom. He is multiple laps down. He'll just work his way past Thomas George, but not for position. George does get by Nieto. Nieto now in 10th. Eric Papanow next, and he'll also get by him. Nieto outside the top 10 and can say goodbye to halfway bonus points.
Yeah, if they can just hang on to these cars, work it to the halfway point, then break it down pit lane. I see the pace. It's down to a 16.4. I mean, they're not necessarily ripping the times that we saw early on in this event. I'm not sure if they're in fuel saving mode, but I mean, if I'm Andrew Freenage, I'm not pitting. I'm just not. I'm not pitting until lap 125. Let it ride. Run the bottom, run the top, just half throttle here. Just get your way there to make points.
Now 10 laps away from halfway, 10 laps away from the bonus points being awarded. On that bubble spot, it is Bradley Burke. And you can see a little bit further back as we hear calls for pitting from Brandon Gass in the 20. There's Eric Papanow in the very familiar Lightning McQueen colors on that number 17. He sits 11th, but 4 seconds now removed from the 19 of Bradley Burke. Burke's looking very good for getting the final halfway point bonus of the night as Gass pits from 8th. This might put him outside of the top 10.
It just might. I mean, you got 6 or so laps to go before we get to that stage break. Gass is most certainly going to lose 10th to Papanow. Papanow did not come down the pit lane to my knowledge yet. So if you were one of these drivers at this very moment that's just looking to work your way to get points, do it the hard way. I mean, just pretty much what we're having to do at this moment anyhow is, you know, it was difficult to find the pit lane anyhow. Most of these drivers were just like, yeah, I'll figure it out. But Papanow did pit. He pitted on 63 laps ago, so he should be good to make it there. So stage points for him. He'll hope the people in front of him come down to pit lane.
Austin Coop has called that he is pitting. There goes that Toyota Camry down onto the apron. And he will enter pit road in the correct spot. And then number 53 with a little bit of a lockup going into the pit lane, but he does get into his box safe and sound. Agnell Phillip has now pit also from P3. Maverick Davis will go into 3rd. Cody Harris stays 2nd. Andrew Freenage stays 1st. Phillip could not make it to halfway.
Yeah, he might have just been charging that thing a little too hard. I mean, if our top 2 leaders can just stay here and ride, they've guaranteed it. I mean, Andrew Freenage is looking to lock up as well the most laps led. I mean, he just needs to get past halfway with that one. There's a lot of drivers that came down that are multiple laps down. We'll see Bradley Burke potentially get back on the lead lap. Thomas George will as well. Agnell Phillip should be able to work his way back on the lead lap as well once our top 3 come down. It'll also be fun to see how long does Maverick Davis stay out. Does he go the extra 5 laps until it does wear with fuel to work this around? This will be we're getting word this is the single pit road version, so why they came down the back straightaway, that cost them a ton of time, probably threw the race out the window.
Well, halfway bonus points have been awarded as we are over halfway done with this race now as Andrew Freenage crosses the line again. 124 laps to go. Looks like Freenage, Harris, Davis, Lariah, Burke, George, Major, Phillip, Papanow, and Nieto, all drivers that will walk away with some halfway bonus points as 3 drivers remain on the lead lap. Everybody else, as we take a look now at the intervals in between each of the cars on the racetrack, instead of to the leader, are getting closer as everybody works their way into the pit lane and does some of them their only, maybe some of them their first green flag stop of the evening, as Benazzi Major is in and Andrew Freenage calls over the race radio that he is pitting this time by, and here comes number 88.
Yeah, we'll see. What pit lane did he come down the backstretch? So if this is the single pit, I'm curious on why they're entering on the backstretch.
I believe the single pit lane configuration, Terry, is the one that is the one all the way around. So it wraps through, I believe they're going through 1 and 2 now, and then it wraps around to the front straightaway. I think the dual pit lane is the one where you can enter on either side like you would in the real world.
So that makes it very difficult for a lot of these drivers. I mean, we've watched 3, 4, 5 drivers miss it.
You lose a ton of time too. It's a long time on pit limiter.
And especially if you just don't necessarily know which pit lane you have to enter, it puts you in a disadvantage. I mean, it doesn't even start scoring you that you're on pit lane until you get to this box. I mean, the pit lane for, I guess it did. It scored him at 52 seconds around the racetrack. That is a ton of laps that gets added up for any of these drivers that come down on on a green flag side of things. So very fun to watch.
Now, after that cycle of green flag stops, Bradley Burke will assume the race lead. And I believe Austin Coop, who has now scored in P16, 3 laps down, his pit times are a minute 13 in the lane and 54.5 in the box. I believe, Terry, he entered thinking it was that dual pit lane configuration. He entered into the pit lane with pretty much all the stalls in it, with it only being 19 cars on the racetrack. He pitted like it was the dual pit lanes and just came right in off of the exit of turn 4. And I believe he got hit with an unsafe pit entry because he technically entered midway through the pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, it is not fun if you do not know what the pit lane configuration is for these drivers. And I mean, take a look here. Bradley Burke pitted 31 laps ago, and that 19, 55 laps ago for George, 14 for Agnell Phillip. They're your top 3 at the moment with 115 to go. I mean, it's a 10-second lead for Bradley Burke at this moment. Can he go back to back? That'll be kind of a fun one to tune into and play along with. But now also, can he make it to the end, Josh, without having to pit? We're almost certain that Freenage, Harris, and Davis can. Michael Araya can as well. But can our top 3 make it on fuel to the very end?
This is going to be a long run to the checkered flag, especially if we don't get another caution. We've only had 1 so far tonight. Do we get another or multiple? With Bradley Burke in the lead, Agnell Phillip 9.8 seconds back. Andrew Freenage has put himself back onto the lead lap with a now 13.5-second gap back up to race leader Bradley Burke, who's behind him on the racetrack. He's back on the lead lap, Terry, and on a charge. He's on 26 lap newer tires than Bradley Burke, and on 49 lap newer tires than Thomas George, the next driver he's about to catch.
Yeah, and I mean, the gap for Agnell Phillip to Burke has gone down. If you look at the gap here between them, George was close to going a lap down to our race leader as well. I mean, he's there, not too far back behind him. Freenage is, I mean, he's flat flying. He's almost a second faster than these drivers who are on 20-plus lap older tires. Thomas George is on the oldest, 61 laps. So he's trying a way different strategy than everybody else. And look at the closing gap there. He's already side by side with him before they ever even got off the corner.
You talk about closing gap. How about comparison in lap times? Bradley Burke last time by 16.132. Andrew Freenage 15.272. It is almost a full second difference between your race leader and currently P3 Andrew Freenage. Battle further back, Michael Lariah and Brandon Gass. This is 15 lap old tires on Lariah, 27 lap old tires on Gass. That's really no contest there. Lariah up into P11.
I never thought we would talk tire strategy and fuel strategy at Bristol, but on your caution free, you know, past the first one we saw very early on, it gets to be that way. Well, once we get down to 100 to go, we'll start to see these drivers work their way in a different light of, you may have to pit again, you might not. Papinal's down on pit lane. He's 3 laps down. He should be about 6 when he comes off the exit there. So, Evan missed a good one.
And right now, where we're sitting with that strategy, 103 laps to go. There's still a lot of time for the race to develop. And if we do end up getting a yellow flag, Terry, that is going to throw a massive wrench into everything, because they pit right now, they will be good to the end, and we're going to have kind of a tire fight at the end of this race, because everybody on the racetrack still has tire sets remaining. I believe the only drivers that are limited, so to speak, on tire sets are going to be Lariah, Maverick Davis, Jaron Winemaster, and Steve Soa. And add Eric Papinal to that list as well. They have all pitted twice, Papinal 3 times, so only 2 sets of tires and 1 set of tire remaining for those drivers, plus Papinal having that 1 set.
Yeah, and if a caution flag does wave, which currently at the moment does not look feasible, does not look like we are going to have one. Just take a look at the battle for 5th between Harris and Maverick Davis. 1 lap fresher tires versus the other, but speed is there. We'll see the battle for 4th not be much of a battle, as Thomas George will get devoured here by both drivers. If a caution flag was to wave, it would be the only way to equal this field out. With now only the top 6 currently on the lead lap, it's going to make it very challenging, because a lot of those drivers are going to have to get the wave around. You think a Trepa, Nieto, and Tice are your only 3 that could get their lap back. Everybody else would be just trying to get one to put them to 1 lap down, hoping for another yellow to take the wave around again. A lot of differing strategies, but a very strung out Bristol race.
Strung out is a very good way to put it. I have my ATVO timing screen set to about ½ second, and it'll start highlighting red for me, and I have a perfectly gray timing screen. No red lit up on that thing right now, as everybody just kind of dealing with a little bit of lap traffic. As I say that, we do get a battle within a ½ second, and it is a battle for the lead. Bradley Burke on 51 lap old tires sees a mirror full of Agnell Phillip in the 94, looking to retake the lead for the first time since about halfway through this race.
Yeah, and I mean, he should do this no problem. I mean, they're about half the tire strength, as George is going to go a lap down here. I believe he's going to come down the pit lane this time. Yeah, George is definitely going to come in here and take a fresh set of Goodyears. But for Freenage, or for Burke, they know Freenage is coming. He's right there. Like, he's in your mirror. He drove this entire racetrack twice to catch you. He's got something for you. He's almost 0.3 faster than all of them.
Up to Agnell Phillip, that gap is 0.6, and you can take a look at those lap comparisons. Nothing but green lights and green flags for Andrew Freenage. He moves his way into 2nd and now sets his sights on the A51 Pro Chevy of Agnell Phillip. 90 laps to go. Freenage wants that race lead back, where he has been for a considerable time tonight. 90 laps remaining, and he wants that race lead back.
Yeah, I think once he gets it, you can go ahead and just set sail, say goodbye. I don't see him pitting again either. So, I mean, at the end of the day, while he has been on par, he's 0.2 faster than Agnell Phillip at this very moment. I just do not see him coming back down pit lane. Not sure if Bradley Burke can make it on fuel. Not sure about Trepa, Nieto, anybody that pitted in the 50 laps ago. If you pitted before the halfway stage, I just do not see you making it. It's Freenage is there. He's knocking on the back door of Agnell Phillip.
This is your battle for the race lead. Phillip versus Freenage. Through the corner they go and back to the front straightaway. Freenage powers along the outside line, and new race leader, the number 88, the 94, goes into second place. And with 86 to go, Terry, I think it's exactly what you said. We're going to need a massive wrench thrown into this race, or else you can say goodbye to the 88, Andrew Freenage.
Yeah, and you can just hand it to him. I mean, unless something catastrophic happens, he goes to pass somebody a lap, put him a lap down, and he gets wrecked or something. I think that's the only way you're stopping the 88 tonight. A caution flag would be nice, but he was still fast on fresh tires. I mean, he was faster than the field. I was watching lap times as they were coming back onto the racetrack. He was almost a tenth and a half faster than everybody on fresh ones, and now even on older tires, he's still 2.5 tenths on this field. It'd be a far stretch to say that Andrew Freenage might not win this race tonight.
Mentioned that part-time schedule last year. He has run all 4 of our opening rounds, and in the 3 openers that we have had at the Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Daytona, an average finish of 7.3 for him. It has not been kind of the Andrew Freenage that I think we're used to, Terry, to at least start this season. An 11th place finish at Daytona, 6th at Atlanta, or a 5th place finish at Daytona, excuse me, a 6th at Atlanta, and an 11th at Las Vegas. Last season, those stats don't get much better with him having that part-time schedule, but where we're at now, I am comfortable saying it's kind of a return to form from Andrew Freenage, who is trying to go back to victory lane for the first time since March of 2023 when he got the win at the Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It has been a minute. I mean, it's almost been 1 calendar year, Josh, that we're
2 days removed from it being a full calendar year. March 13th, 2023 was his last race win.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot when you've had the accomplishments here in RSR competition that Andrew Freenage has had. He's looked in form tonight, whether it was having to potentially learn what the new car could do. 2023 was when we kind of rolled this one out for everybody to understand and go, hey, this is it. He struggled with it. He used his regular, hey, I know how to drive a car on iRacing form, but past that, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, it's good. You're there, but you're not winning races, right? We saw the Kevin Kings go up here and be good. We saw the 94 of Agnell Phillip be good, but we were looking for Andrew Freenage. It's like, hey, are you going to come up here and be dominant like you were before? He's doing it tonight. I mean, he has not blinked. There's not a scratch on that. We would see it. He's got an all-black car. Like, we would know if he had a scratch on it, but he's picking them up, putting them down all race long, and 74 to go. The rest of the field needs a caution.
The last time he raced at Bristol in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series was September of 2023. A 3rd place finish for him in that race. Looking to turn that 3rd into a 1st here for Andrew Freenage, who also has some pretty solid short track stats. Actually, one of his best, other than road courses, with an average finish of about 4th. He's got an average short track finish of about 7th. So we're used to seeing Andrew Freenage up here at the front whenever he is on the track in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Update on drivers getting lapped. We've got the top 5 that are on the lead lap currently. Chris Trepa sits 6th. He is 1 lap down and about to go 2 laps down. And Chris Trepa is the only driver that is 1 lap down. Everybody else is 2 or more down. And Freenage is dangerously close from the 50 and dangerously close to putting everybody who has gone a lap down officially 2 or more down.
If you're Chris Trepa, you're screaming, there's debris in turn 1.
It's raining. There's a bug in the session. It's raining.
Yeah, it's, hey, dog, there's a cloud, and it definitely is. It's sprinkling. So, I mean, self-spin. I don't know what you would do in this moment. Trep was your only hope to keep more than, well, now with Burt coming down pit lane, kind of what I suspected. Once again, the drivers that pitted before that stage break, they're not making it. There's Bradley Burt coming in. He pitted 76 laps ago. Agnell Phillip will be the holdup here. I'm not sure. 62 laps compared to the 53 laps that Freenage has. That makes a pretty big difference. I mean, that's 11 or so laps. If he's able to try to cut back and save a little bit, which doesn't look like he is, he's keeping it within 0.6 of a second. Can Freenage make it? I mean, Agnell Phillip make it on fuel?
Agnell Phillip as well as not in the sense that he has kept that gap close. He's kept the gap stagnant, especially trying to get around these lap cars. That was a big time slide off of turn number 4 there for the 94. He's kept that gap to around 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. He hasn't let Andrew Freenage get too far away. Still not making runs at that race lead, but he's got that all black number 88 in sight still. Can't say the same for third place Cody Harris, who has pretty much been dealing with traffic for this entire stint run. Maverick Davis up on the top side as we go on board with him is looking to try and propel himself a little bit further up.
Yeah, it's not been fun. I mean, you look back here at Maverick Davis, who's currently sitting on 57 lap old tires, now 58. He was a lap down a little earlier on, kept his way up here through that pit cycle, and now everybody else from 5th on back is 2 laps down with only your top 4 in contention to potentially win this race.
Well, as Cam Patterson works his way into the pit lane in the number 10, Andrew Freenage still leads the way, and with 61 laps remaining here at the last great Coliseum, let's go RaceSpotTV fan immersion so you can really hear what these cars sound like in the bull ring that is the Bristol Motor Speedway. $52 laps to go now as we rejoin you here in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series coverage live here on RaceSpotTV. Joshua Lee alongside Terry Radford. As Terry, we've gone green flag all the way through this race since about lap 6 or 7, since we were on the tail end of that last yellow flag, and now with 50 to go, it really is just chugging along to the finish. A second gap in between Andrew Freenage and Agnel Phillip at the front. Handful of drivers making their second pit stops of the day, but these lead three, Freenage, Phillip, and Harris, are on a one-stop strategy and trying to go all the way.
Yeah, the one stop was most certainly the way to go. If you're any of these drivers, I mean, under 50 now, don't expect to get a caution. Don't expect to see very many pit stops. I'm still curious as we sit here and ride along is can Sam Nieto sitting in fifth, can he make it? He's 2 laps down. Can the driver in second of Agnel Phillip make it on fuel as well? 82 laps on his stint, 90 laps now on the number 2. That's going to be the biggest question. I think that's the checkboxes we need to hit here this afternoon is can the fuel mileage hang on? Something I never thought I would say at Bristol.
Bradley Burke goes side by side with Sam Nieto. Burke takes 5th. He'll look to the inside for 4th on Davis, and he'll make contact for 4th. He gets the spot, or actually, not for position at all. He is now the first driver 2 laps down. So he'd get one of those waved by and get the free pass if a caution were to come out now. Maverick Davis is holding on to a 4th place position on the racetrack, and not only that, is currently holding himself on to a good finish right now of 4th if he's able to hold on there. I gotta say, from Maverick Davis, not a lot we've seen from him in RSR really ever. Not a lot we've seen so far really in 2024. He's got a win on a dirt oval, but that is it. Good run so far tonight from Bristol, looking for a best short track finish from him.
Yeah, a lot of good stories coming out of this one. We're going for 4 straight winners to start the season. We'll break our string of 2 in a row first-time winners if Freenage gets it done. Seeing good stories of Maverick Davis. I mean, Maverick's just kind of he's here. Like, you know, not necessarily that awful. 5 seconds off the race lead. It could potentially get a top 3 finish if the 94 can't make it on fuel, and he can because he pitted right when Freenage did, right when Cody Harris did. A lot of cool things. I mean, it's very unprecedented to see the entire field 2 laps down, minus 4 of them.
I will give a correction. I blame the Sim Racer Hub update that happened, I think, at the beginning of last year, or of this year. He does not have a dirt oval win in RSR competition. That is outside of RSR competition. I have now sorted to within RSR competition, and no race wins, but a full season competed in the Winter Series, and now making his first starts here in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. And so far this season, a finish of 28th at Daytona, 19th at Atlanta, and 9th at Las Vegas. He has pretty rapidly and exponentially climbed and looks for his first top 5 here, as the 4 drivers that are on the lead lap all separated by about the same amount of time. 1.2 seconds, about 2.8 from Harris down to Davis. Is Austin Coops in a battle with Jaron Winemaster. This is both of them 3 laps down as they fight their way through the field, and Austin Coop on the back bumper now of Winemaster, looking for P11.
Yeah, that could be our caution. You saw Jaron Winemaster get loose there. Once Coop got to the back bumper, we'll see if he's able to keep it straight off the exit. They'll go side by side there for just a second. Coop should be able to easily get this spot, but no, Winemaster rips that thing on the outside lane, holds on to it. We'll see what this battle continuously does. The 9's going to stay there. Oh, Coop thought he was going to slam it, but couldn't. And here comes, I believe that's Bradley Burke, the first car 1 lap down it is, who just came down pit lane 33 laps ago. He's going to get in this fight as well.
Burke has unlapped 1 of his laps. He is now 1 lap down, and so he will get that free pass if a caution were to fly, and is still a considerable margin away from Andrew Freenage, considering the fact that he just passed him to get 1 of those laps back. 33 to go. Time running out if he wants to finish on the lead lap, but 4 drivers right now on that lead lap. I want to go back to last season's race here at the Bristol Motor Speedway on the concrete to see how many drivers we finished with on the lead lap then, because 4 seems like we might be reaching RSR record territory. I mean, I know we've had some dominating performances at Bristol from pretty much any of the drivers. You can throw a dart at any of them in the top 3, and you can probably find a dominating performance at Bristol from any 3 of them. But with 30 to go, Marinos is looking to maybe do an unprecedented win in RSR competition.
Well, I know when Cody Harris won here 2 seasons ago, he did it with a caution flag that came out, and then he ended up taking the win. Last season, I believe we had more than 10 on the lead lap still. There was a lot of incidents for wear in that one, but this is wild to see this type of performance happen. And we might not even be done lapping people. We might only have the top 3. It just really depends on the fuel mileage. I mean, we're at 102 laps right now for Agnell Phillip. We'll see how far he can actually stretch that fuel. And no, let's go.
That changes everything. Brett Larson is around, and with 27 to go, this thing has just been blown wide open, Terry.
Well, it's going to make it a little bit crazier because Bradley Burke gets the free pass. And then if you're Nieto or Lariah, you need to stay out and get one of your laps back to then, be the first car. We'll take a look at the replay here of what happened. Either Brett Larson is going to be the most hated guy in this series, or it's the 15.
What happened there? I'm going to get an onboard with Maverick Davis. Did he get loose and they just hooked up?
I mean, at least take him on a date first. You can't just hook up on the front stretch. But this is definitely going to make Andrew Freeney's work for it.
What do they do in pit lane? Brett Larson saying over the in-game text chat, all U15, no claim from the 15 of Maverick Davis just yet.
Oh, boy.
Let's take a look on board with that number 15. Did he get loose? He's running the outside.
Yes, he did.
Very loose.
He used the 51 as a wall.
Now, I don't blame Maverick Davis for this, as we see the 4 drivers that are on the lead lap come down into the pit lane. Remember that all incidents go to post-race control review, whether it's claimed or not. So without that claim of the caution from Maverick Davis in 15, it will go to post-race admin review. Now, he might get penalties awarded after the fact, but not claiming the caution now means he doesn't take the punishment of claiming the yellow, which is an end of the longest line penalty. With him being 4th and one of the only drivers on the lead lap, now that Bradley Burke gets his lap back, we turn 4 drivers on the lead lap into 5. Maverick Davis wants a shot at this win. I honestly don't blame him for not claiming that yellow.
Yeah, I'm not taking it. I mean, hell, I'll send it to post-race. What is it? What's it, a points penalty?
I believe it's a points race penalty. It's a points penalty. Let me actually review here. Let's check.
Something happened. Actually, something just happened to the 15. He's not here anymore. He is disconnected, or he is sitting on pit lane and out of the car. Believe he's out of the car. That might be a broken toe link.
It's a lot of damage to the front end of that 15. Do you see that entire front end caved in?
Yeah, I mean, the penalty served. If I'm race control, and I mean, I know Evan's probably watching. Punishment served, right? I mean, he's out of the car. He's not racing anymore. That'll then put Nieto up to 5th, Lariah up to 6th, and it'll move everybody up 1 position. But Agnell Phillip took 2 tires on that pit stop to leapfrog Andrew Freeney. So now it'll be a battle of 2-tire, 4-tire, with now Cody Harris is there and Bradley Burke has to start tail into the longest line. So Top 3 fighting for the win. Jaron Winemaster there in 12th will line up right here. 3rd.
Well, that just got a lot more interesting as we're already going back to the green flag. Agnell Phillip on the gas, and he gets a good jump. Cody Harris to the inside of Andrew Friedar, side by side for second place, and it's going to be Harris taking that spot as Friedar fights back on the outside. They're both sideways as they go through 3 and 4.
You got to let the tires heat up, and that's the one thing I believe Agnell Phillip learned with just taking 2 tires. He took 2 right side tires that time. There's heat in the left, so he's not going to be as loose as everybody else. So it might actually tighten him up. We'll see if he can hold the 88 off as Freenage has now stepped away from Cody Harris by the tune of 0.3 of a second. 19 laps to go. It'll be 18 when they cross the line this time.
The group behind has strung themselves out. Michael Araya, Sam Nieto fighting for 5th on the racetrack in the first spot, 1 lap down. But it's all the battle at the front of the field with Farinage chasing down Agnell Phillip. 0.3 is the gap. Cody Harris trying to keep the top 2 reeled in, but this is the battle for the race lead with 17 to go. Phillip is losing time. 2.5 tenths now as Farinage goes to the bottom. Phillip on the top side. Big run to the 88 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, huge run there for Freenage. She's able to wrap that bottom lane. He should make this with breeze once he gets to the back bumper, but the outside for Agnell Phillip has kind of been the name of the game here later on in this race, but does contact have to be made to allow Cody Harris to work his way into that position to potentially win it? 15 to go this time by. Freenage has to be kicking himself that a caution flag came out, especially if he loses this one.
0.2 is the gap. Phillip in front of Farinage. 14 laps to go. Now the 88 looks to the top side. The 94 stays in the middle. No time gained, but no time lost for Freenage. They both go topside that time with lap traffic ahead. That is Manatsi Major and Eric Papanow that they're about to reach. Freenage back to the bottom, gets the gap done, and now separated by a 1/10 and a half. He got a big run, but had to get out of the gas and loses that 1/10 and a half he just gained.
Yeah, it's killing him, the fact that Phillip is running that outside lane, because if he goes to charge the bottom, he's having to check up by a good margin. I mean, right there, catching Eric Papanow right off the exit of the corner made Agnell Phillip check up a good bit. Bottom lane is not Andrew Freenage's way around this racetrack, but that's the only way that Agnell Phillip's going to let it by him.
10 laps to go, this time by the stripe. Phillip leads. They get by that first group of lap traffic. There's a couple more stragglers up ahead. And a good bit more stragglers. That's Brandon Gass. I believe Sam Nieto is up there as well. They're fighting now for the race win. 9 to go. Farinage has more opportunities to try and get runs, but just like you mentioned, Terry, he's back to the top side and back trying to protect as Brandon Gass goes to the low side to let the leaders race through.
Yeah, smart move, smart drive by Brandon Gass in that 20 to get out of the way. You don't have very many opportunities here because these laps click off in a blink of an eye, but this side-by-side racing between Nieto and I believe that's the 44, Michael Araya, that's going to hold this up. Outside run here for the 88, 7 to go now. If you're Agnell Phillip, you're mirror driving, hoping you don't pop the wall.
6 laps to go, this time by. Farinage looks high. Nieto is going to let the leaders go on through. Phillip gets loose. Here comes Farinage. Contact made as they work their way back into 1. Laraya on the inside. 3 wide for a moment, but Farinage on the inside. Can he get the pass made? No, he can't. Phillip keeps the lead. 5 to go.
Don't look now. Cody Harris is in this mirror as well. He's a part of this fight. He's about 2.5 tenths off of the race leader. Top 3 fighting for the win. Under 5 to go. Cody Harris will look low for a second. Can't make the run. Here comes Freenage all down the back pumper of that 94. He has 4 more chances to make the pass happen. He's led almost all race long. Can he lead the most important lap of them all? And that's the last one.
Remember, he has not won in almost a year, 363 days to be exact. Can he beat the 2-time champion in Agnell Phillip? 3 laps to go. Farinage separated by 2/10. No lap traffic left to contest with. 2 laps to go, and Agnell Phillip is in the catbird seat, but he almost touches the wall in the front straightaway.
Yeah, lap times have subsided with one another. They're almost identical. Cody Harris was actually the fastest of the 3 that time by, with the white flag looming. It looks like all right now. Agnell Phillip show 2 tires. Looks to be the strategy to win it.
The 88 and the 28 slide out of turn 4 that time by. The white flag is in the air. One final opportunity for Freenage. Where does he go? He looks low. Not enough momentum. And Agnell Phillip, for the second time in 2024, goes to RSR Full Throttle Cup Series victory lane.
And Harris tried to peek to the inside there. Freenage kind of lost the front end of it and wrecked across the line. Looked like to be intentional, but wow. 2 tires. The gamble for Agnell Phillip paid off, and he goes win number 2 of the season. And that's a heartbreak for Andrew Freenage, who just instantaneously pulls down pit lane and was like, I'm good. I don't, he's definitely not happy.
Remember how strung out we got everybody in the middle portion of that race? We only go under the yellow flag twice tonight, and the top 3 finish within 0.4 of a second between each other at the end of this race. What a night as Concrete Bristol returns to spring racing in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Agnell Phillip's going to continue to burn it down, and we're going to take a look at your full race results from tonight's event. And Agnell Phillip, what a way to do it as he walks away with your race victory. Andrew Freenage walks away in second, Cody Harris in third. We'll talk to all 3 of your podium finishers here in the post-race show, with Bradley Burke, Sam Nieto rounding out your top 5, Michael Laraya, Thomas George, Chris Treppa, Brandon Gass, and Manatsi Major going to round out your top 10 of the finishing results.
Yeah, go back there to 11th. Jaron Weinmaster, Austin Coop, Eric Papanow, Steve Soa, Maverick Davis, your top 15. Cam Patterson, Brett Larson, Joseph Tice, Grant Davis, and Mike Maddox, your top 20. And your final 2 of the evening is going to be, or last one, Dylan Coyle, your 21 starters here this afternoon. Coyle gone early, 245 laps remaining in the race when he left.
That is your full finishing results from tonight's race here at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. And what a night it was for Agnell Phillip, who walks away with another victory. We'll dial him up and get him up here into the broadcast booth. And what a night it was for the 94 of Agnell Phillip, who has been so successful here in RealSimRacing competition, and now joins us in the broadcast booth as your race winner tonight. Agnell Phillip, that was definitely not an easy one. It was between you, Andrew Freenage, and Cody Harris seemingly all night. A long green flag run in the middle of that race. Well, how was it from your perspective down there on the track?
Definitely, I guess they call it scamming one. Definitely scammed one there a bit. But, we'll take it. Kind of, Drew was a lot better on the long run there, and, just almost blew my right front tire in that first run, so I was taking it even easier on the second one because I knew to get the tires to last a little bit longer. And then the caution came out and changed everything, and I didn't expect that to work. 100 laps on left sides, you don't think that it's going to work out quite like that, but it did. And, here we are in victory lane. We'll take it.
Now, that caution coming out there late, was that your saving grace? And what was the call like for 2 tires on that stop as well? Did you think you had enough speed to do it with 2 tires? Was that a track position play? What was going through you and your team's mind?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you looked at the situation, and if I take 4, unless Drew has some sort of issue getting into his box or something, like I come out behind him probably on the outside, and then he can just run the top like I did the entire run, and I'll never get by him. So, I kind of looked at it and I was like, I could try and try the 4 tires and just let things shake out where they may, but it's kind of early in the season. I think we only had 4 or 5 cars on the lead lap, so figured worst case scenario I drift back to 5th and we call it a day. It felt like actually a pretty good time to take a risk like that. And yeah, I mean, clearly the pace was kind of there, so like lesson learned for the foreseeable future, at least until the tires change again. But yeah, that was wild. I mean, I went through those first couple corners after the restart, and it stuck, and I was like, all right, well, let's keep rolling with it. And just kind of drove it about as hard as I drove it all night for the last 20 laps until the checkered flag there.
2 wins on the season for you now, a week off before we go to Richmond. Does it feel like you're going to have that same level of confidence for Richmond that you've kind of had for honestly the past 2 seasons of the Cup Series and throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good at Richmond last year, if I remember correctly. I think I didn't make the 2-tire call at Richmond last year and lost the win there on the final restart. We had a late race caution, so try to do what we always do, put ourselves in good position. The scheduling of the races this year has definitely thrown a bit of a loop, whereas in earlier years I would have come into this knowing exactly how much I had to save my right front through the race. I didn't really, I didn't do a ton of practice for it, so I didn't really know until we got into it. So I'm sure that'll repeat itself at Richmond here, and we'll just have to kind of adapt mid-race and take the opportunities where they come. But we should be fast. I think we clearly got some pace here. So keep it up and see where we end up.
Congratulations on your race win tonight, Agnell. Go celebrate with yourself and the team. Congrats.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Agnell Phillip walks away a race winner tonight here from Bristol. It was almost sweet for Andrew Freenage and the number 88. Terry, you're standing by with him.
Almost 1 calendar year, Andrew, since you won your last RSR Cup race at Phoenix on the 13th of March of 2023. And this one slipped away by a 2-tire call and a caution that probably should not have come out, but it did. What was your takeaways from this concrete strung out race at Bristol?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very disappointed. Felt like we should have won the race. First time in probably 3 years, I felt like we had the field covered, and I knew 2 tires was gonna work. I just didn't think anybody was gonna do it. I kind of did a lot of testing and knew that was going to play out. I really just didn't think that anybody up there was going to take it. He did, and I kind of knew our fate from there.
So when the caution came out, I kind of want to pick your brain on it. What was going through your mind? I mean, you had the field by over a second and a half. I mean, you were the dominating factor. Were you mad, or did you just go, okay, well, let's reset and go for a hard charge last like 10, 15 laps?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like we had a good short run and good long run. I should have just took 2 tires. I knew 2 tires would work even that far along. Like I said, I did a lot of testing, and I just doubted myself, different settings in here or something. So, yeah, we've been in that position before where we dominated late caution. I felt like we had short run speed, and I just made the wrong call. And, props to Agnell for taking the chance, and he got the win. But we are very, very disappointed with that, not going to lie.
Well, we take a week off, obviously, for the Easter weekend before we come back racing on, I believe, the 25th. It puts us at Richmond. Your short track side obviously seems to be working. Your best average finishes road courses and short tracks. Do you think you're going to be the one to dominate Richmond as well?
Yeah, last year I think we should have won, and I went and slipped through my stall and ended up getting wrecked. So that's another track we feel really good at, but these guys are really good. Cody and Agnell, they show up every week. Daniel when he shows up, and there's the whole field could win the race. So you got to put in your effort, and it's hard to let one slip like tonight, but we'll put in the effort and see if we have a good enough car come 2 weeks from now.
Well, it's been really good to have you back in the field, Andrew, and good to be talking to you here. I know it's a disappointing P2, but congratulations on it, and we'll see you 2 weeks' time at Richmond.
Thanks so much. Happy Easter to everybody there, and thank you guys for all you did. I know that was quite a misdemeanor there getting the race going, so thank you for all the effort everyone did.
We're here for you guys. That's Andrew Freenage coming home P2 here this afternoon in the 88, Josh.
I think a misdemeanor is a really interesting way to describe that, but
it's better than a felony.
Yeah, much better than a felony. Cody Harris was your pick to win, Terry, and I think it's only fitting you take that post-race interview as well. He wasn't able to get it done, but 3rd place is not looking too shabby.
Boo. Yeah, you
I was
tried.
I was looking good until the caution came out,
You were
I'd
looking
really-
good.
but so the caution came out, and that was that.
Well, you finished third. Nothing to hang your hat on. You've literally had an opportunity to get around Andrew Freenage there, but looped it on us.
I wasn't going to get there. He had a pretty good run.
That he did. Obviously, short tracks between you and Agnell Phillip looks mighty good, mighty strong. Taking the week off, extra week of practice for Richmond Raceway, getting yourself back in here, mindset going into that short track, totally different from Bristol, but I think it's a day race. So more short track success for you?
I hope so. I don't mind NASCAR too much at a short track, as long as you can figure out which tire the setup is going to abuse. Like early in that first run, I was with Agnell the whole time, and I started getting tight, so I just backed off a lot, and then let my tires cool down, and then kind of came back into the race there. And then when I pitted, I blew my right front as I pitted. But then once I came back out there, I just decided I had a lap time in mind that I didn't think would kill the tire, and I was just slowly inching back in. But I think Drew might have been saving a little bit too. So I think I could have got around Agnell, but I don't know if I could have got Drew there. But yeah, I like getting around Richmond. I'll have a lot of laps there getting ready for Road to Pro. So I already know that track pretty well already, so hopefully another good run. Finally feels good to actually finish one of these without getting crashed.
Yeah, I bet it does. That was my follow-up question. Thanks for stealing it. But you got an opportunity now. I'm afraid to pick you at Richmond. I will say I will take the field if they ask me my pick. So I will be a winner regardless. You broke my streak of success.
Oh, no. Sorry about that.
It's
so hard to
okay.
pass at Bristol. Once at the end, when you're all pushing that hard, you're all so close on lap time, then the top line just dominates, and there's not much you can do but it.
I'm used to being disappointed by Ohio State. Yeah,
I am too sometimes, honestly.
But congratulations on your P3, and can't wait to see you after the Easter break at Richmond.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you guys for putting this on.
Thank you, sir. That's Cody Harris coming home P3 here this afternoon at 28, Josh.
And it was good to hear from all three of our podium finishers here tonight. And Terry, Bristol race that surprisingly only 2 yellow flags in the race session that we actually got to run 250 laps in. But regardless, I think tonight was a really, really good example of this field. Yes, we only had 21 drivers take the green flag. However, clean race, had strategy in it, and 1 yellow flag, had an amazing run to the finish with the top 3 that we just interviewed separated by less than 0.4 of a second. What a night of racing here for the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got 3 of the best, and Andrew Freenage said it much better than we can. Anybody in this field can win. I mean, we saw it early on, second and third race of the season, saw first-time winners jump into victory lane, and then Agnell Phillip being your first repeat winner. Taking a week off, kind of putting the reset button on this one. We got our super speedways out of the way, 1.5 miles in a short track. Now you're starting to see the level of competition rise. The top 3 here might not be the top 3 when we get to Richmond. I mean, Bradley Burke looked great. Nieto looked good. We'll add Matt Danson back to the field. We'll also add Ross Cato back to the field as well. You can catch it right here on March 25th, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time from the Richmond Raceway in the Commonwealth, which I believe is going to be my new home state here very soon.
Well, you did hear that that date a little bit differently from Terry. It's not going to be next week. We take a week off as the Real Life NASCAR Cup Series goes into Circuit of the Americas. We come back for round 5 from Richmond. Coverage, as always, right here on RaceSpotTV. But that'll do it for tonight's coverage of the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. And we want to give a big shout out to everybody who has tuned in tonight here on RaceSpotTV. And for race control team of Evan Basoko, for Terry Radford and myself, Joshua Lee, we thank you for tuning into tonight's coverage here on RaceSpotTV. And we give a massive congratulations to Agnell Phillip, who walks away as your winner from the Bristol Motor Speedway. You can catch our next round, round number 5 from the virtual Richmond Raceway, coming up in 2 weeks' time. But for now, we say good night from virtual Bristol.